Welcome everybody, day 4 of 4, the final day out here at X Games Minneapolis 2018. Here inside the US Bank Stadium, it is the return of Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing. Good morning everybody, or afternoon wherever you may be. Scotty Dubler in the booth alongside myself. My name is Jimmy Coleman. We got Diana Dahlgren out there in the field. And well, Scotty, this one, it's not a medaled event. It's all about getting out there and throwing down some fast lap times and having a good time. But the big story here is that this course basically was carved out overnight by our crew. If you were watching X Games last night, this was for Step Up yesterday, Best Whip, and Moto X Best Trick. And these guys worked hard all night long to make this flat track here today.
Jimmy, I can't believe how much dirt was out there yesterday. We had ramps, we had all kinds of stuff. They worked all night long. We've got a flat surface. They had to, put a lot of moisture down and get ready for today's event. You can see they're putting the stripes on right now because we're getting ready to get started with the Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing. Qualifying races are coming up real soon.
Well, and another thing that's new here for Hooligan, we had Hooligan out here last year, but the new one this year is we actually had a qualifying event to get the 48 riders that we're going to see in the selection out here today. We had an event, the Road to X Games Boise qualifier out there in Idaho. We added flat track racing into the mix this year, so those 48 riders were selected out of that event. So taking a look at the format here, Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing, 48 athletes. There are 6 heats of race. There are 8 athletes per race. The top 2 are going to advance. Then we get into the semifinals, and then we get into the main, Scotty.
Yeah, you got to run up front all day long just to make it to the main event. The main event different here this year. Only 6 riders will make the main event. That's in the Hooligan class, and then later on when we get to the Harley-Davidson Racing Finals as well.
And another thing that's new here is we actually have a start gate out here, which we were talking about earlier. That's not something that these riders are actually used to. They line them up normally. Here we've got a start gate, so that factors into things today as well.
And the start gate is so far back off of turn number 4. I'm looking for a lot of action in the first corner, especially, Jimmy, because they're going to be going at a higher rate of speed than what they're normally used to. You mentioned they started normally at the start-finish line, and now they're starting way back there. Man, and it's a short track. First time ever inside US Bank Stadium.
Yeah, normally the last few years we've contested these events at X Games. They've all been outside, and you can see by that graphic right there that this one is definitely the shortest. They've gotten shorter over the years. Last year it was at Mall of America when we did Hooligan and Harley-Davidson flat track racing, but here it's only an 1/8 of a mile, and man, these races are going to go fast. When we were in the arena out there in Boise at the X Games qualifier, it was super tight. The races were only 10 laps. I mean, they were going really quick. So basically what happens is, how key is that start going to be out here today?
It is very, very important. You got to get a good start, and then you've got to get through the first corner without any carnage. You got to get through there in a hurry and try to get away from everybody else. You want to get as far away from everybody else right through that first corner as you can.
So what you're saying is we're going to see some people throwing some elbows and banging some bars and maybe trading some paint out here this afternoon as we roll through this.
I believe so, especially in the first corner right off the start is going to be very important. Actually, the Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing is already making their way out here, and looks like they're going to start them at the normal start-finish line like they normally do for flat track.
Okay, so they are not going to have to run through the start gate out here as we bring our first group out to the line. Again, in these opening rounds, it's all about trying to get into that semis. There's no last chance qualifier out here. Remember, we had last chance qualifiers in years past, but that is not the case out here today. So you get through the quarters, you get into the semis, and then you find yourself in the main. And again, this one in Hooligan Racing, this one's not a medal event. This one's all about having some fun.
Basically, these are street legal motorcycles. Take the blinkers off, take the turn signals, the headlights, the taillights off, and we're going to go racing. 8 of them are going to make the start right here, and only the top 2, Jimmy, move on out of this one. We've got riders from all across the country. Here we go. Harley-Davidson Hooligan Heat Race number 1 is on the line.
You got Robbie Madison out there on the far riders right outside line. Robbie Madison of freestyle motocross fame. So here we go. We are getting ready to get this thing started here. Our first of our races out here today in the Hooligan round. As we get set to kick things off here, you got Mishler, Clements, Spencer, Cook, Foley, Lauders, Madison, and Tinsley, your 8 riders that are lined up here.
And that is Robbie Madison on the outside, and he's the guy that set all the records and was jumping everything on some freestyle motocross. He trades in his motocross bike and gets on a Hooligan out here. And this is the Harley-Davidson Hooligan class. You can see these great big motorcycles. Another thing to point out, Jimmy, is there are absolutely no front brakes. Anything we're going to see today, there are no front brakes. This is heat race number 1 at the start line right now, getting set to go. And again, Jimmy, very important to get a good start. Only the top 2 riders will make it into the next round, which is the semifinals. This is heat race number 1, getting set to go out here at X Games Minneapolis. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, this is going to be huge. And again, it's a tight one. It's only 2 riders that are going to advance in the semis, and space is going to be at a premium out there. And one thing we didn't talk about yet is when they get around to the straightaway on our side of the venue, there's a little bit of a roller right there. We've seen some ripples in the dirt right there that it's given some riders some adversity in the practice and in the seeding rounds that we saw prior to coming on air.
Especially coming right off of tournament 2, it kind of wavy on the back straightaway, so you've got to get through those bumps in a hurry. These flat trackers right here don't have a lot of suspension.
Well, before we get this first race underway, let's check in right now with Diana Dahlgren.
Thanks, guys, so much. These hooligans, they put it all on the line. You got guys like Robbie Madison, the Unknown Crew, Nick Leonetti, Buddy Settle. You got so many talented riders in so many different events here. They're going to be putting it on the line. You might see banging bars. And, you know, things are a little bit different than the pro class here in the hooligans, guys.
That's definitely true. These guys are going for it, too, but they want to get out there. They want to win at X Games.
Hey, trying to make a name for yourself out here. These guys, this is a blue-collar crew out here. These guys all hold down full-time jobs. And for me, that was a first-time experience out there in Boise at the Road to X Games qualifier. And it was amazing just walking through the pits and seeing the camaraderie and everybody hanging out there and just the different styles of bikes and whatnot, and just watching those guys just send it in that arena. And it was different there because we were on a concrete floor there. It was super, super slippery out there. They had to, like, wash that down with soda and whatnot to give them a little bit of extra grip. So here we're on dirt. Let's talk about that and how that affects the traction here in Minneapolis.
The dirt is really good. This was the dirt that was here from the 2018 AMA Supercross that was here earlier this year.
So back in April.
Really good dirt. They tear down everything that happened over the whole weekend. Now it's flat. They had to water it. There's a lot of traction. We saw actually one guy flipped over backwards on the practice start gate, and that was in the Harley-Davidson racing class, not in this not in the hooligan class. But we're going to see these guys probably getting some traction as well.
All right, so again, this opening round here, Daniel Mishler, Jason Clements, Brad Spencer, Jake Cook, Brendan Foley, Dan Lauders, Robbie Madison, and John Tinsley. All of these guys are on Harleys with the exception of Matto, who is riding an Indian. Matto riding number 127. So the laps are going to be 15, or the races are going to be 15 laps here in the opening round here in hooligan racing.
Keep your eyes on 7M. Brad Spencer, he's a little bit older guy, but he's got a lot of experience. He went really good out at Boise. He's been making a name for himself again in this Harley-Davidson hooligan class.
All right, so revving it up here. So those guys are not going to use the start gate here in the hooligan racing. So this is our first quarterfinal matchup about to get underway here. 15 laps, only 2 of them advancing on into the semis. And again, there is no last chance qualifier here this year. That is the big change coming into 2018.
Really short course inside. Here we go. Green flag is in the air.
All right, and we'll see who gets the first hole shot there and gets out to an early lead. And it looks like it's going to be Daniel Mishler, number 77, getting out to the lead.
There's a Mishler's Harley-Davidson in Wisconsin. I'm sure he's part of that family, and he leads them. Lap number 1 in the book. 77 with the hole shot. He remains out in front. 7M of Spencer right there in second.
Brad Spencer again in that transfer spot. That's key, but you've got number 911 right there. Jason Clements is pressing the issue, trying to gain some ground right there on Brad.
He's got to do everything he can as quickly as possible. You can see the leaders trying to run as smooth as he can. He's trying to take the shortest way around the racetrack. Shortest way, usually the fastest way. We might see some guys trying the high line as the 911 slips a little bit wide, lost ground with the top 2 riders.
All right, so out here, Mishler still in that opening spot right there, followed by Brad Spencer. So that is your transfer spot.
Clements started to slip back a little bit, so he's got to pick himself up. He's got to refocus on tracking down that rider right in front of him. It's a 10-lap race, and we're halfway already.
It's 10 laps, so yeah, we're at the halfway point. So again, you've really got to make your case early on. You don't have a lot of time to try to correct and get up there and use some strategy to try to get some passing in.
Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing. We're out here just having some fun. No medals are on the line, but 77, he doesn't care. He wants to win. He wants to advance into the semifinals. Mishler sneaking away on that 77 Harley-Davidson.
Yeah, he's starting to distance himself from the rest of the pack. But again, this is just part of the equation. You got to get work done in this opening round to move on to the semis. Then you have to do it again to get into the main.
And something new, we're going to get into some lap traffic here in just a second. They're catching the tail of the field right now as we're just barely past the halfway point.
Well, that's where things start to get dicey because you start getting into that lap traffic right there, and you saw guys in Boise that got tangled up in that, and that actually changed our leaders in some of the races there at that Road to X Games qualifier.
Mishler goes by the slower rider, sneaks by him on the inside on this last lap, last corner. Heat race number 1 going in the books. It's going to be the 77 of Mishler taking the win. Spencer a close second.
So you saw that was Jake Cook 003 right there that pulled out to the right a little bit just to give Daniel Mishler the pass by right there. So there you go. Top two transferring on. And as you said, Daniel Mishler and Brad Spencer will be moving on. They get out of this first quarterfinal matchup. We will see them in the semis.
These motorcycles weigh about 500 pounds. It's a lot to do and a lot to turn these things into these tight corners. Man, we're already one heat race in. Heat race number 2 is already pulling up to the starting line.
I can't believe how fast that went. And again, everybody kept the rubber side down, shiny side up there in that opening race. We saw some guys slipping and sliding there in practice and in the seeding rounds right there. As you mentioned, we saw one guy dump the bike out of the start gate there as we take a look at some highlights here from round 1.
Spencer got up front. The 911 was chasing him down, but he lost track of the leaders. There's Mishler right in front of him. Mishler hangs onto the win. Look how low that back tire pressure is, and that's going to be key to get traction on this tight indoor course. Mishler taking the win on the 77 bike. Spencer, he's going to be tough all day long on that 7M.
Well, Daniel got out to that hole shot, and he was in that lead and did not falter at all through an entire 10 laps right there. So, again, only your top 2 move on. So, again, that's Daniel Mishler and Brad Spencer moving on into the semi. So here we go. Heat number 2 here in the quarterfinal round. We got Jeremy DeRuyter, Jordan Baber, Jimmy Hill, Mikey Hill, Danny Holbus, Josh Sanger, JJ Flaherty, and Sean Bordato.
Keep your eyes on Flaherty. He won the gold. Actually won here in X Games last year. He'll be fast. Also, Jeremy DeRuyter, the 34. He used to have a pro license. And Jordan Baber's kind of an up-and-comer. He got his roots in this hooligan class. He's making a name for himself. He's starting second from the inside.
So getting ready to drop the green flag here. We are underway with quarterfinal number 2. Who's going to get out to the hole shot here, Scotty?
142 has the hole shot. JJ's right there in second on the 45 bike. 142 slips a little bit wide going into 3. They're stacking them up.
That's Danny Holbus, but check it out. Number 45 is trying to press the issue on the inside line right there. 45X, that's JJ Flaherty.
Last year's winner. Here comes the 27X around the outside, trying to take that second spot away.
Jordan Baber looks like he's going to overtake JJ here, but right now, no, he does not. JJ secures that inside line.
Here comes 34 up the inside, taking that third spot away. That is DeRuyter. That he used to have a national number, used to be nationally ranked on the pro circuit. He's been sitting. It looks like the 142 is kind of slowing everybody down, holding some people up. What that's doing is causing a big traffic jam right behind him in that second, third, fourth spot.
Well, we've got some tight grouping right there. Number 142 still out in the lead there, Danny Holbus. But look at the battle that's going on right now for second place. These guys keep trying to trade positions there in the turns.
New rider, 88, slides into second now. New rider up to second place.
That is Jimmy Hill that's now in that second and final transfer position as we hit the halfway point here of quarterfinal number 2.
After 88 gets by the leader, I think he'll sneak away. It seems like the leader's running the smart line, running on the bottom, but he's holding everybody up. He's got a big traffic jam right behind him.
And remember, there is no last chance qualifier this year, so it's one and done. If you don't make one of those top 2 spots in the quarters, you are done for the day. 142 and 88, you're 1 and 2.
There he goes.
Laps to go, and
they touched. He touched his handlebar. It took him out. He was not intentional. He went up the inside. They touched handlebars. We race until we see red or checkered, so we're going to keep going. Some of these guys have slowed down. You don't want to stop. You got to keep on going. Now that puts JJ up to second. Well, 88 is still your leader.
That's still a battle going on right now for that number 2 transfer spot. JJ Flaherty in that spot as of right now, but he is being challenged here with 1 lap to go, 2 laps to go.
Last year's winner sitting back there in the third spot. No, he's in second, actually, so he's got a chance to get in. Jeremy DeRuyter's out there. Baber might not even make the show. This might be it for some fast guys running third and fourth right now. I expected those guys to actually make it to the final. Out in front. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Jordan Baber in third right now. He's got 1/2 a lap to catch him. He will not, so it's JJ Flaherty. He's going to get that second and final transfer spot. JJ Flaherty hangs on to make it into the semis. Baber, by the way, was third in 2017.
That's what I'm saying. I expected him to be in the main event, but look at that, 88. He actually passed some people. He started back there in about the 5th or 6th spot, made his way up to the front, and I was afraid that the leader was slowing him down just a little bit. Tough break for that early leader, the 142.
So he was calculating. He was hanging back there, waiting in the wings, biding his time, and it paid off there at the midway point of the race, and he comes out with that number 1 transfer spot.
A tough break for Danny Holbus, who had the early lead. The 88 snuck up the inside. They touched handlebars coming out the corner. Here's a look at the restart at the start.
So he was on that outside line, but then he crept into the inside line right there to get out to that early lead.
Keep an eye on the 88. Here he goes by last year's winner, the 45 of Flaherty. Puts himself in second. He's tracked down the leader. He's setting him up right now. He goes up the inside. 142 slipped wide. Watch, it doesn't take hardly anything. Very little contact right there, and the leader went down. Washed out that front end. He goes down.
See 88 throwing that left hand up and claiming it as the checkered flag comes out.
Awesome. 88.
Jimmy Hill moving on, followed by J.J. Flaherty. So 2 quarterfinal matchups down, 2 more left to go here in Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing here inside the U.S. Bank Stadium, X Games Minneapolis 2018.
There's so many riders. We got 6 heat races.
Oh, there's 6.
Man,
I got ahead of myself.
48 of us.
I was thinking ahead to flat track racing.
Not
we
yet.
Have 6 quarterfinals.
Yeah. Man.
So we're not even at the halfway point yet. It's going quick.
48 riders. Here we go. Heat race number 3.
Taking a look at list number 3 here. That was heat number 2's list there that you see. That was a group that we just saw there.
Heat race number 3 is the 97 of Merle Barnett, 44 is Robert Bush, 11X Jason Schreffler, 09 is Chris Wiggins, 85 is Buddy Suttle. Keep your eyes on him. 33 Chris Hansen, 7X is Juan Areco, and the 277 Tony Tucker. This is heat race number 3.
So waiting to get the green light here for group number 3.
277's on the inside, Tony Tucker. Make sure that track is cleared off. Maybe everybody's ready to go. This is already heat race number 3. Again, 48 riders have all qualified to make it into today's program. We have 6 qualifying heat races. The top 2 make it onto the semifinals. Everybody else is done for the day, Jimmy.
Yeah, without that LCQ in the mix, I would imagine that definitely changes the mindset of everyone coming into this versus what we had last year. And again, there was no practice time. Last year, the track was outside of Mall of America. You had plenty of practice time today. Literally, these guys had to come in this morning and see the track for the first time because our crew had to work overnight to get everything out of here from Step Up, Best Whip, and Moto X Best Trick last night.
There is the correct start list out there on the front of us. 277 on the inside. Tony Tucker, he'll have the advantage of being on the inside, but he's down there in the loose stuff, Jimmy. I like about the 3rd starting spot. You're already on the groove, and a guy from the outside grabs the whole shot. Here they go into turn number 1 and 2. 97 looking strong.
So that's Merle Barnett that gets out to the early lead, followed by number 85, Buddy Suttle right there.
Suttle stuck his front tire right up against the back tire. Thought he was going to go for a high side. He did the right thing, chopped the throttle. They only have rear brakes. You got to jam that brake so you don't hit the rider in front of you.
So 11X, Jason Schreffler trying to press the issue right there up against Buddy Suttle.
Suttle's having issues getting into gear. He slides all the way back to 4th place. It looked like the bike came out of gear coming off of turn 4.
Well, he's back in the mix, but he's back about 5th place as of right now.
Also back there's the 44. That's Robert Bush from California. Another rider goes down. One rider runs right into that motorcycle. They got carnage in turn number 4.
So that was Jason Schreffler who was pressing the issue there, trying to challenge for that number 2 spot. He goes down here.
He's still on the lead lap, but he's about to get lapped by the leader. 97 out in front, Merle Barnett.
Merle Barnett followed now by number 9. That's Chris Wiggins in those 1 and 2 transfer spots.
Halfway flags are in the air. We're getting a little bit of lap traffic. They've caught up to the 11X of Schreffler, who went down, stayed on the lead lap so far. It's not going to be his day because we only have room for 2 of them. Merle taking a look up the inside. Your leader slips out of gear. Another rider goes down in turn number 4 at the same time we're talking about it.
So a little bit of carnage here in quarterfinal number 3, and we're into the lap traffic early as we've got 4 laps left to go here. Again, Merle Barnett out in that top spot as of right now, getting top 2 transferred on.
I'm pretty sure
Wiggins.
I'm pretty sure it's Buddy Suttle that went down in that last corner of the 85, so his day is going to end early. We're expecting him in the main event as well.
Yeah, so a shocker right there, but again, that's a testament to this short track, this short course, and with little to no practice with this overnight build-out. We anticipated that we would see some of the favorites possibly not make it in, and maybe some up-and-comers find themselves in that final race. We're on lap 9 out of 10 here as the white flag comes out. Merle Barnett still in the lead.
Flagman actually gave it to the guy behind him, but 97 is the leader for sure. We know that because we've been keeping an eye on it. It's Merle Barnett, last lap, last corner. Here he comes.
Just test.
See? He's getting to the right. Oh, there you got the right guy. Okay. Good deal.
Hey, you know what? It's crazy out there. You get excited. Adrenaline's pushing.
He's seeing bike after bike go right by him because the track is so short, man. The pros were doing 11-second laps. These guys probably about 13 seconds. Look, Merle's pretty pumped up to make it into the next round.
Well, he got out there to that opening lead and pretty much stayed there through all 10 laps. So it was a bit of a walk in the park for him, though. Actually, he did slip out of gear at one point. Chris Wiggins slides into that 2nd spot, and he will transfer on as well. And that's what's crazy. I mean, you only get 2 guys out of each round, and there's no LCQ.
And Jimmy, these guys came from all over the country just to have one quick heat race, and then they're done. They're going to be fans up here in the stands like us.
Have to go grab themselves a grab themselves a bottle of water and sit in the stands and watch the rest of the day unfold.
So he's having trouble shifting the gear. It looks like the bike just popped out of gear, and that cost him a few positions, putting back in the heavy traffic. And then the rider goes down. That's subtle. No, that's the 11X that went down right there. That's Schreffler.
And he took out Chris Hansen in the process as well, because Hansen just ran right into him. He couldn't get out of the way.
He was actually signaling to the flag mat to give me the checkered flag coming off of 4. He knew he was in the lead.
He's like, hey, wait a minute.
What about me?
Wait, you forgot all about number 97 right here. Give me the checkered flag.
Heat race number 4 is already online. We're getting ready to go. Some fast guys are in this one too, Jimmy.
Well, we got Mark Atkins, AJ Kirkpatrick, Joseph Robinson, Jason Lariv, Brandon Long, Craig Reynolds, Sam Fisher, and Aaron Guardado. We saw the other half of the Guardado brothers race earlier. I believe he was in quarterfinal number 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Rusty Butcher rider on the inside 22 is Mark Atkins. They're always wearing that black and yellow colors. That's that's their trademark, Rusty Butcher.
What about lane selection? Do these guys get lane selection when they come out on the line?
It looks like they're going from the inside to the outside. The last one looked like they went outside to inside. So you can either pick the inside or the outside. I think right about in the middle is going to be the good starting spots. We got an onboard way on the outside, but the tough thing for him is he's got to get in front of all 7 of those other guys going into the first corner. That's a long way to do it.
It's a tight turn right there. You don't have a lot of real estate to work with. Look, and you've seen everybody get grouped up right in that first corner.
He's already got this. Look, he's already at an angle right now. That's Guardado on the 46 with the camera on his helmet right here. He's already angled for that first corner, so he's angled to cut the 17 off immediately.
And here we go. Let's see if he can get out there and do it. 22 on the inside line, gets out to the early lead. That's Mark Atkins right there, followed by number 55, Joseph Robinson.
It's the Rusty Butcher rider out in front. 55 is right there in tow. The third place rider's trying to sneak his way in there with those gold wheels. Battle for the lead into turn number 1.
That is AJ Kirkpatrick trying to creep in right there. They almost trade some paint right there, but now it's 55 out in the lead. So Joseph Robinson's the top spot, followed by 22 Mark Atkins.
A little bit different riding style between the leader and the second place guy. Second place guy's sitting back a little bit. The leader's sitting more straight upright, trying to get the body positioning. You want the weight on the front tire to help you steer through the corners, but then you want to get the weight on the rear wheel to drive off the corners.
Atkins looking like he was gaining a little bit of ground there on that last turn. See if he can catch up to number 55 here as we are on lap 4 out of 10. This is quarterfinal number 4 here, Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing.
Remember, there's not very much suspension, so when they hit these little bumps coming off at 2 especially, it kind of upsets the momentum and upsets the ride a little bit. If you can get to those bumps good, you're going to do good all day long.
Well, we're at the halfway point here, and still Joseph Robinson out in that lead and looking like he's gaining a little bit of ground there on Atkins and separating himself just a bit here.
And the third place rider is actually catching up to the second place rider. That is AJ Kirkpatrick on the 12 machine. He's caught the rear tire of the 22 right in front of him.
Well, a little slip up right there coming out of there. It's kind of, you've got kind of an egg shape to this track. You've got the rounded corner when they come on the start gate, and it kind of comes to a point on that other turn.
Down there in 3 and 4, it's almost like a point, like you said, like the top of the egg. Turn 1 and 2 is more like the bottom of the egg.
So you'll see the back end kind of wash out and slip around as they come down on that point. We're on lap 8 out of 10. It's Robinson still out in the lead.
He's almost riding that thing a little side saddle. He's got that bike leaned over, so he's sitting more up on the right side of the seat to push that in and push that motorcycle down to the left.
All right, so number 12 right there, AJ Kirkpatrick. Time is running out. Can he catch up? Can he overtake number 22, Mark Atkins? Or will Mark Atkins get that final transfer spot? We'll find out. The white flag is out. This is the final lap.
It looked like Kirkpatrick set him up down here in the last corner, but I don't think he's close enough to make anything happen. As a matter of fact, there might be a battle for the lead. Here they come through the final corner.
Coming around to the finish line of the checkered flag goes, so it's going to be Joseph Robinson will transfer on. He will win this quarterfinal race, and it's going to be Mark Atkins that hangs on to get that transfer spot into the semis.
Wow.
The Rusty Butcher jersey right there.
Stand up wheelie, look at that. Nice. These guys are pumped just to move on to the next round, which is the semifinals.
I can't even imagine the adrenaline of coming in here, not having any practice, not even getting eyes on the track until you get here. You're rolling with your morning coffee, and you're like, all right, let's get to work.
Lining them up. There's the results from heat race number 4. Robinson taking the win. Atkins comes home in second. Up next will be heat race number 5. And we've got a guy that's already been in this building in competition on the pole.
Yes, that's right. Tyler Berriman, who got a bronze in Moto X quarter pipe high air. And he had some adversity with his dirt bike down here this weekend. We'll talk about that in a second.
Here's a look at the restart of the last one. Guardado was stuck on the outside, didn't quite get the drive in the first corner. He got stuck back in traffic. Here's the battle for the lead. Actually, the pass for the lead, the 55. got the inside line. That's the preferred line, and got by the 22.
And that was early on. That was the first 2 laps right there. And once he got out to that lead spot, he did not falter. He would stay there throughout the remainder of the race. Keep in mind, this is just the quarterfinal round. This is just to earn the right to get into the semis.
Wow, that flagman's got to keep an eye out. These guys are squaring up the corner, coming in as low as they can. They want to stay as tight on the inside as they can. Nice wheelie on a 500-pound Harley-Davidson right here inside U.S. Bank Stadium.
Guys doubling up on the wheelies for us there. As I was saying, Tyler Behrman, he had a buddy of his driving his bikes across the country to get here, and they had an accident in either Iowa or Nebraska. They had a meat freezer fall off of a truck and hit the front of the car or the vehicle, and they had to go get a U-Haul and go back and get his bikes to get him here to ride. So Tyler, after all that adversity, still gets himself a bronze medal in quarter pipe high air.
I want to point out Behrman's on the 14 bike. The back of his jersey, 653. That's his old race number, but he's on the 14 motorcycle, and everybody else is out there. 45 is Benny Carlson. Frankie Garcia on the 24. Jordan Haupt on the 67. Nick Leonetti on the 30X. Scott Jones 3X. Jason Rogers on the 3. And Dan Jacobson, a Minnesota rider, on the 44X.
All right, so this is going to be race number 5 here in the quarterfinals. After this, we have one more race to go. Keep in mind, only the top 2 moving on into the semis, and we are underway, Scotty.
Here we go. Watch it. Oh, tagging them up. 2 of them going down in the first corner. It's Frankie Garcia, and he's hooked up with another rider. We race until we see red or checkered. There's actually one stopped up there by the air fence as well. This is the 44 is out front. They're trying to get the bikes all the way out in front. 44.
That was Jordan Huff that went down and that got tangled up in that mess. 44 getting challenged right now. That's Tyler.
Behrman's running the high line. He's making a pass on the outside. Now that opens up the door for the 45 bike. Benny Carlson up the inside. Another rider down in turn number 4. They keep racing until we see red or checkered.
Benny Carlson followed by Tyler Behrman.
Behrman back up the inside. Now we do see a red flag. We got carnage all over the place, so we want to check on our riders as the red flag comes out. One rider still down in turn number 1. Man, what a massive, crazy pile-up start in turn number 1. I'm expecting more of that all throughout the day.
I'm surprised we haven't seen it yet, to be honest with you. I mean, with how tight quarters are here on the course and how fast these races are going. I mean, it's only 10 laps.
And these guys aren't professionals. These are heavy motorcycles. They get a good start. They're launching into the first corner. Here they come. There's not much room. Watch the 67.
Look, he's got his elbow in his shoulder right there, 24.
They were tanked up. That's Garcia, and the 67 of Haupt, and the 30X has nowhere to go. They go down. One's down on his left side. One's down on his right side. Hopefully both those riders are all right.
And then Nick Leonetti got caught up in that carnage as well. He stayed on the bike, but he got pushed to the outside and almost into the barriers there.
So we do have an air fence right there in the high impact zone outside turn number 1. They didn't even make it up that far. They got tangled up before they got into the corner. When you hook handlebars, you can't have time to say, oh, let go. You know, it happens so fast.
You're just trying to wiggle out of that thing and hope for the best and try to stay upright. So with the red flag there, they'll restart these guys after they get the bikes and the riders off the course there.
That is the 24. He is up and okay. He was the one sitting up against the air fence over there. Again, that's Frankie Garcia. There's Behrman right there. Like I said, he's got the 653 on his back. He's got that beautiful Red Bull helmet on there. He looks like he's the man to be beat in this heat race.
Well, he's already earned himself a bronze medal this weekend in quarter pipe high air. Before we get back into this restart, let's check in with Diana, who has some info on the man Tyler Behrman.
Yeah, I was just talking to Tyler in the tunnel right before he went out. Super comfortable. He loves this track. You can see how comfortable he is. I don't know if you guys saw his helmet shaking when that red flag went off, but he's super disappointed right now. He was in the lead. Hopefully he can pull together a win right now.
Well, he's going to get another shot at it here when they restart this race. He comes from some flat track lineage. His dad's a former pro flat track racer.
And his grandpa actually raced motorcycles way back in the day too. Didn't do much flat tracking, but he did a lot of racing in the sand out in California and had a lot of fun. So we're going to stack them back up. Looks like they're putting how they were running inside to outside.
Yep, so they'll re-rack them based on where they were standing once the red flag came out. He just finished just outside of the podium in best whip last night. He settled for a 4th place finish out there. And again, going back to what we were saying earlier, that's how crazy. There was so much dirt and there were ramps in here last night. So hats off to the course guys for working overnight to make
look
the
at
track.
This, the 24, Frankie Garcia, he's going to join the pack back there in row number 2. The riders that went down and caused the restart will have to start on the back row. Looks like everybody else goes back to their original starting spot on the inside, the 14 of Behrman. And I just want to point out, too, the 24, Frankie Garcia, he's on a Ducati. Tyler Behrman on a Kawasaki. He's listed on a Kawasaki. I'm not sure what he's riding out there. Actually looks like an Indian from up here.
All right, here we go with the restart. And Tyler is back out in that lead, followed by number 45. That's Benny Carlson. But watch out for 44X, Dan Jacobson in number 3.
Look who's in 3rd from the back row. It's the 24. The rider that went down, that's Frankie Garcia. He's already up to 3rd in 1 lap.
Wow, that is impressive. He got tangled up with Jordan Hopt, which is why we had the red flag right there. And oh, is Tyler going to get past right here? They're pressing.
They are pushing him. Carlson's right there in the 2 spot. He's got the fringe hanging off of his sleeves on his jersey.
You call it fringe, or would you go tassel on that?
I'm gonna go with fringe. Maybe it's a little flare.
Oh, I like it. So it's Berriman. It's Berriman and Carlson right now as we are approaching the halfway point right here.
Benny Carlson used to running these heavy motorcycles. He's a road racer. He's also done some flat tracking. He used to have a national number for a little while, I believe. Carlson right there trying to pass the leader. Tyler Berriman right there on the 14 bike. Slips a little bit wide. Opened up the door. 45 wasn't able to make the pass.
Well, let's not forget about Frankie Garcia back there on that Ducati, man. He was in that back row, and he's caught up, and he's in that number 3 position. Can he catch up to these guys? He's got 4 laps to try to make his case, because if you do not make the top 2, you do not move on to the semis.
Garcia made a mistake over here coming off of turn number 2. I think the fatigue right now, after going down, he got the good start, got up there to 3rd, and he's kind of settled into that 3rd spot. He's 1 spot away from moving on to the semifinal.
Yeah, he's slipping back a little bit as these guys are still battling for that 1 and 2. Carlson finished 9th in 2017, by the way.
I think he's starting to feel the pain right now.
A little shoulder slippage there.
Maybe so. He went down hard in that first start.
They're almost tapping tires right there, 45 and 14.
Carlson trying to sneak his way by Tyler. Tyler's the only one that's got experience inside this building. He's been out here since Thursday.
So we're on lap 9 out of 10 here.
White flag.
Quarterfinal number 5. We have one more quarterfinal to go. And it's Berriman and Carlson, your 1-2. And looking like, barring any slip up here, these two are going to transfer on into the semifinals as the checker flag is out.
Berriman knew he had it, lift up his left hand going across the start-finish line. He moves on to the semifinals, and Benny Carlson on the 45 bike moves along with him into semifinal. Tough break for the 24. Frankie Garcia, he went down in the first one, had a heck of a restart coming from row number 2, made his way up to that 3rd spot, but kind of settled in. And also a tough break, I'm going to have to point out the 44X of Dan Jacobson. He's a Minnesota guy. He was up there before we had the restart. He finishes just off the qualifying spot.
Well, you have to give Frankie some credit there. I mean, he was starting in that back row, and then to get up there and get into that number 3 position, and he was challenging there for a little while before these guys separated from the rest of the pack. So before we get into our final quarterfinal race, let's check in one more time with Diana, who's down there with Tyler.
Tyler, you just killed that race. What is the emotion like going into tonight's main?
It's a tight track out there, and it's all about the start. It's going to be, when you got to make a move, you're going to have to run it in there, and it's going to be some bar banging action tonight in the main event. But stoked to put my Indian motorcycle in the Harley-Davidson main.
You looked a little disappointed when that red flag happened. Walk us through it.
I mean, yeah, you get a good start and put yourself in a good position. That's definitely what you don't want to see, but thank God all the riders were all right and got off to another good start and rode her on in.
All right, we'll keep an eye out for Tyler Berriman. Solid rider here, guys.
So those two guys making their case to get into the semis, trying to find their way. Eventually, the goal is to get to that main race.
There are some fast guys in this last heat race. Brian Phillips, he's on a KTM. He's number 26A. Keep your eyes on him. Chris Boone, I used to race him. He's number 13 on the Harley. Terry Vestal, the 27. They call him TV Dinner. Terry Vestal, 27. Dave Kilkenny on the 35. He got 2nd here last year. He's fast. Josh Slay's out there on the 76. Ricky Renario on the 429. Alex Brooks, 19. And Chad Tyson, number 87. Final heat race. Harley-Davidson Hooligans. Oh, where are they going? Looking like they're getting a little anxious over here. Jumping the start. That's TV Dinner on the 27 bike, and the guy starting right beside him. That's the 13 of Chris Boone on that Harley-Davidson. So those two riders will go back to row number 2. It's our first false start we've had of the afternoon. And now we got to watch these two riders try to come through the field. Here's a look at the replay. The 27-13 both rolled to start. They were right beside each other, so they both started rolling.
It's going to happen sometimes.
Well, so that's going to make things interesting because, 27 was probably my pick to win this one. Now another rider's going to be put back on the back row. That's a 76 bike.
Yeah, so Josh Slay is going to have to join the back row crowd right there as we get set to kick off this 6th and final quarterfinal matchup here. Remember, top 2 transferring on as we get set to drop the green flag. And here we go. Our last quarterfinal race is underway.
Look at that, 35's coming up there through the pack, and he got 2nd here last year. It's Dave Kilkenny right there taking over the lead.
Getting a little loose there.
That's all right. That's all right. He still has the lead. He's stretching it out now. Look at the 2nd place rider's riding way on the bottom of the racetrack. 3-digit number on that's 4. was that 429? Ricky Renario.
Yeah, that's
in second.
Yeah. Man. Now they're starting to separate a little bit. Number 13 there in that number 3 position. That's Chris Boone.
Remember, 13 came from the back row. Look, one rider having a problem in turn number 1. Looks like that's going to be it for him. Boone up to 3rd now. Remember, he came from row number 2, so he's got a lot of flat track experience. Right behind him is Terry Vestal, the TV Dinners, 27 right now in 4th. Only 2 riders advance. The best battle is for that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th spot.
All right, so Ricky Renaro trading some paint there with number 13.
Boone up the inside, making the move. You got to get aggressive, and that's what Boone's doing. He got aggressive off of turn number 4, stuck his wheel up the inside, takes that 2nd and final transfer spot away from Renario.
So here we are at the halfway point. We're on lap 5 out of 10.
Kilkenny sneaking away. The best battles for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Boone has the 2nd spot. TV Dinners trying to get his way in there.
Lap 6 out of 10 here, and again, this is just trying to earn your right to get into the semifinals.
Man, some fast guys are going to be loading up after all of our heat races are done. This is it for our final heat race. Yeah. We start with 48 of these riders. We're narrowing the field down quickly. Here comes Vestal. Looks like the 27 got into the back tire of the 429. He's getting tired of following him right now. He's trying different lines, but the shortest way around the track is usually the fastest. Vestal's trying to go around the outside. That's the battle for 3rd and 4th. They've got to get up there.
Get it back on the inside now.
Yep, he's trying to set him up. You know, try the high line, square out the corner, come underneath him. The 429 is doing a great job going as low as he can, especially on the straightaways. Obviously on the corners as the white flag is out for your leader.
Final lap right here. Can Boone hang on and get that final transfer spot? Chris Boone, number 13, sitting in that number 2 position as of right now. But look at this battle we've got going on right now. He's starting to pull himself away from the rest of these guys on this final lap.
Vestal took that 3rd spot away, but he's going to run out of time, so he is done. He was one of my picks to make it to the final as well. Terry Vestal, 27, has been eliminated. Your winner, last year's 2nd place finisher, Dave Kilkenny. 2nd is the 13 of Chris Boone. And Chris Boone always says he's number 1 in 3 countries. That's why he's got 13.
Is that how that works?
That's what he tells me.
Listen, just a little bit of math.
Then he changes to 1 in 3 continents. You know, he just changes it all the time. He's a fun.
It's all about marketing. It's how you sell yourself, right, Scotty?
Restart right here. You can see that Phillips was right there on that KTM. He has problems right here. Ryan Phillips, he normally rides a Harley, got on a KTM. He dropped out right after that one. There's the move for the 2nd place battle right there. Boone goes up the inside of the 429, and he will take off from there and finish in 2nd. And here's Kilkenny, who finished 2nd last year at the Mall of America. He takes the win. Heat race number 6 in the books.
So once he got out there into that number 2 position, he never looked back.
Look, it only took 2 minutes and 11 seconds to run 10 laps.
Like I said, at that Road to X Games Boise qualifier, we were inside the arena. It was going quick. I mean, we saw lap times around 7.5 seconds to 8 seconds and some change. So those races were going very, very fast. So we have run through our 6 quarterfinal matchups. We move on into the semis. 2 more races to determine who's going on to the main. We'll have more Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing when we come back. Welcome back, everyone. X Games Minneapolis 2018, fourth and final day here inside the U.S. Bank Stadium. This is Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing here inside the stadium. Jimmy Coleman here alongside Scotty Dubler. We've got Diana Dahlgren out in the field. We have just completed our quarterfinal round. We had 6 quarterfinal heat races. Top 2 per race moved on into the semis. So now we are down to our 2 semifinal races. No last chance qualifier this year. Hooligan Racing is not a medaled event. This one's all about getting out here under the lights and racing for the fans and having some fun and making a name for yourself here inside U.S. Bank Stadium. And man, we saw some pretty fast lap times out here in that quarterfinal round, Scotty. We saw a couple of carnage rounds. We saw some guys trade some paint, getting knocked to the dirt.
It got really close, tight racing in turn number 1 especially. We had a lot of bumping and banging. That's just a preview of what we're going to see later on. And we're doing like an elimination style format. So we're going to see the riders in a heat race. Then we'll see the same riders competing in the semifinals and then the finals. So just check it out. Check out some of our exciting racing from our heat races so far. .48 riders making the start of the heat races. Here's one of our earlier heat races, Jimmy.
So 11X right there sliding out and ends up in the dirt there.
Just lost the front end going in. There's the 33, has nowhere to go. He slams on the brakes. Remember, there's no front brakes in flat track racing, so you gotta slow down as fast as you can. This was right off the start when they're all bunched up. These two hooked handlebars, the 24 and the 67 going down. One hard on the left shoulder, the other one hard on the right shoulder again. First corners were going to be a lot of the carnages. One more look at that replay. That was at full speed right there. Good thing is they got down before they got into the wall and all the way into the hard into the course down there. You can see there's an air fence down there, but you got to get down. You don't want to hit the wall or the air fence. That's a high impact zone.
Yeah, that was a 3-person stack up on that one right there. You had 2 guys going down causing the carnage and a couple of guys bumping into him, getting forced to the outside line right there. So by virtue of that, we had a red flag. We had to have a restart, but out of that, it was Tyler Berriman who ended up crossing the finish line first and moving on, because top 2 out of each one of those races moving on into the semi. So again, our storyline that we've gone through out here is that this track was not available for practice for the riders throughout the course of the weekend. This was literally the same venue right here that you're looking at that was part of Moto X Quarter Pipe High Air and Freestyle on Friday night. Then overnight build, they reshaped everything for Step Up, Best Whip, and Best Trick last night. And then after they closed doors here last night, the crew had to work all night to make the flat track, and everybody showed up early this morning and got their first bit of practice.
They had to take truckloads and truckloads and truckloads of dirt out of here, smooth this thing down. You couldn't even see where the flat track was going to be, you know, the first 3 days of X Games. Now we know where it's at. It's kind of an egg-shaped oval. Turns 1 and 2 are like the bottom of the egg. It's very rounder. The top over here in turns 3 and 4, it's tight. It's narrow. You got to get in there and get off that corner well. Whoever can get off the corners really strong is going to have a good advantage today.
It almost comes to that point right there, and at that view that we just saw there, which is closer to our side of the venue, we've seen a little bit of a roller right there. There's a little bit of a ripple that's kind of bouncing guys around, and we've seen a couple of slide outs and a couple of crashes in practice and in seating on that part of the track as well. So a little bit of adversity out here this afternoon.
I just want to say that the crew did a wonderful job. You know, you couldn't even tell where the track was. It's so smooth right now. They had to add a lot of moisture to the racetrack, and the track is holding up great right now for the great day of racing here. Day number 4 of X Games Minneapolis. It's time for Harley-Davidson Hooligan semifinals, and these are the fastest guys from the heat races. Again, we only took 2 out of the heat races into these semifinals. Out of these next 2 races, we're going to take the top 3 to the main event, and there's a look at Flaherty right there, who won here last year on the 45.
Well, before we get into our semis, as we're bringing these guys up here to the line for our first semifinal race, let's check in once again with Diana.
Man, guys, I was running down to that tunnel. A handful of these guys say this track is really bumpy. They don't like it. But guess who does like it? Brad Spencer. He won the Boise qualifier. He likes it, and he's looking to take the top spot here tonight. He wants to say he's the man at 56 years old.
I was going to say, he's got to be the old guy of the bunch, and he looked really good in his heat race. I think he's got a good shot to win this thing.
He won the Boise qualifier. He had a heck of a night of racing out there, and again, much like this course, it was extremely, extremely tight out there in Boise, and they were on concrete.
This is semifinal number 1 online. There's the 09 up there. 45X of Flaherty, last year's winner. 97, he took a win early. That's Merle. 88 is Hill. He won his heat race. There's a 7 of Mishler. So Mishler won his heat race. This one is stacked, and only the top 3 going to the main.
Well, now you got an extra body that moves on out of this one. In the quarterfinals, it was only the top 2. So now we take the top 3 out of the semis. It's going to be a 6-man final. So again, it's Hill, Barnett, Mishler, Flaherty, Wiggins, and Spencer. Your 6 here in this semifinal.
Where are you going?
Number 1, and we got a false start right there on the outside. So that was
Spencer.
Brad Spencer. He got a little overexcited.
Look,
Man, we were just talking about.
Watch this. He's going to pull up to the starting line like, I'm supposed to.
And they're going to be like, no, you go to the back of the line, sir.
And now you have to stay in the exact same spot where you were. So he's supposed to start on the outside of row number 2. Look, he's going to sneak down there on the groove. That's a good move right there. That's a veteran move.
So strategy right there. And here we go. Semifinal number 1 is underway, and out to the hole shot right there. And in an early lead is Jimmy Hill, but look at the battle for number 2.
77 sneaks up the inside. That's Mishler. He's got 97 to Merle up on the outside. Merle Barnett on the outside. Here comes Spencer. Spencer up to 4th. Now he's looking for 3rd. A little bumping, a little banging going on in turn 1.
That's Spencer with the onboard cam right there, and he will put himself into that 3rd position right now, and that is a transfer spot here in the semis. So even though he had a false start and he had to go to the back of the line, he still puts himself in that number 3 spot.
Hill out front, Mishler in 2nd. Brad Spencer's right there in 3rd. That's good enough to make the main. I know the one better you want to get up front right now is we have a battle between 88 and the 77 going on right here in front of us.
So with that onboard cam, you're taking a look at Jimmy Hill and Daniel Mishler. You're 1 and 2 right now, and look at number 77 trying to press the issue, trying to overtake Jimmy Hill.
And Jimmy, it's hard to lead. You want to go out there, you want to hold that inside line, but you got to go slow to do that. What that's allowing, here comes the 77. He shoved that front wheel up the inside, takes that spot away. New leader, Mishler, 77.
Pushed him to the outside and put himself in the lead. So now it's Mishler, Hill, and Spencer. You're 1, 2, 3 as we're on lap 6 out of 10. Again, it's 10 laps here in the quarters and the semis. These guys, top 3, will move on into the final race.
Spencer trying the high line down here in 3 and 4, setting up the pass. He squared off that corner, was looking to go inside of Hill for 2nd, not able to make the pass. He's doing the same thing down here in turns 1 and 2, squaring off that corner, but he's back a little bit too far behind Hill to not able to make that pass just yet.
Yeah, he was charging up on Jimmy Hill there for a little bit, but then Hill got a little bit of separation, gave himself some breathing room. We're on lap 8 out of 10, so still Mishler, Hill, Spencer, your top 3. Remember, it's 3 transfer spots, not 2. It's 3 that transfer on here in the semis.
Out front, Mishler pulling away on the Harley-Davidson. He's doing for Mishler's Harley-Davidson. Right behind him, Hill was a heat race winner. Spencer right back there in the 3rd spot. Looks like what you see possibly is what you're going to get. They've kind of separated themselves from everybody else.
Yeah, the grouping there was pretty tight for most of the race, but now here in these latter laps as the white flag comes out, these guys have got quite a bit of separation, but they've separated those top 3. Looks like that, barring any instance here, that'll be moving on.
There's the checkered flag out. Your winner, it's Mishler on the 77 bike. 2nd is Hill, and Spencer from the back row takes that 3rd and final transfer. You can just see how pumped up Mishler is to take that semifinal win. He's got Mishler's Harley-Davidson on the front of his jersey, and he is going to the Harley-Davidson Hooligan final out here in Minneapolis.
Well, how about that strategy you talked about at the start line right there with Brad Spencer getting bumped out after a false start, and he had moved back to the back row right there.
It's kind of sneaky. I don't think he's quite supposed to do that, but it was a good move. He lined up on the starting surface where they've been running over and over. And I want to point out Flaherty, 45, who won here last year. He's out.
Yeah, he's a no last chance qualifier. So if you don't make that top 3 in the semis, you are done for the day. So he advanced to the semis, but will not advance to the final. So J.J. Flaherty is done for the day.
Here's a look at it. See Spencer lined up in the 2nd row right there on the starting surface. Hill got the whole shot. He had Merle right there on the 97 hanging tough. Merle Barnett was right there hanging around the outside, but he got hung out to dry. The outside slower than the inside. Mishler got by right there, and here comes Spencer. Spencer goes on by at the same time. Like I said, the 97 just got hung up on the high line.
Yeah, he just pushed Merle Barnett to the outside right there. Once he slid into that number 3 position, that is where he would stay throughout the rest of the race.
And that was Mishler's pass on Hill right there for the lead. And Mishler snuck away, and he took the win on his Harley-Davidson. Look how low that rear tire air pressure is, and that's to get some good traction on these corners. It looks like it's almost flat, but that's what you want to do to get good traction coming off the corners especially.
And he is fired up as you see him coming across the finish line there. They're throwing his hand up. He is fired up, and rightly so. Why? Because we will see him in our final as we check in one more time with Diana, who's down there right now with Brad Spencer.
That's right, standing here, you pop the clutch on the start line, got pushed back to the back row, and you still are going into the main event.
Yeah, I got really lucky. Everything went my way. The guys moved up a little bit and took it where I could take it, and it worked.
Congratulations, guys.
I love his interviews. He's just such a mellow guy. Just like, yeah, I'm lucky to be here. Everything worked out in my favor. That's how he was in Boise.
I'd be so excited to make the main event. If we had 48 riders, he's going to be one of 6 in the main. Here comes our last qualifying race already.
Yeah, we had 98 of them that we had to go through in Boise, and he was so mellow there in his interviews. But before we get into our final semifinal heat, let's check in one more time with Diana.
You know, he's been waiting for this interview since Boise, and here you are. You're going into the main event. You got to be feeling on cloud 9.
Yes, ma'am, I sure am. And there's a lot of us, I hope, that are watching, that are enjoying it, and I am so speechless. So many people out there. Got to give a shout out to Michelin's Harley-Davidson, Innovative Technologies, Donna, Mike Farrell, Greg Steffes, mom, dad, girlfriend. Yes, we're in the main event.
All right, number 77, guys. He is very excited.
I'm going to say that he might have gone to media training the way that he went down the laundry list of people to thank right there.
He might be
professional.
He's ready to move up to the pro ranks. I think he's got that part dialed in.
He was very polite, too. Thank you, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Here we go. Semifinal heat number 2. Joseph Robertson, Tyler Barham, Dave Kilkenny, Mark Atkins, Benny Carlson, and Chris Boone.
Uh-oh, somebody's jumping the start again. Look at that. It was our heat race winner, the 55, going back to row number 2. Man, tough break for him. That's Joseph Robinson.
Yeah, so he's going to have to go back to the back row right there. Remember, this is the last semifinal, so top 3 moving on. Oh, 55.
That was Kilkenny.
Kilkenny gets a little loose right there. That was 35. Sorry, my bad. 35 that got a little loose right there, but stays on the bike.
Look who's out front. Tyler Behrman out in front, 14 on there. Like, whoa, 55's going down off of turn 4.
No, that was Joseph Robinson.
That was a high side, and he landed hard on his shoulder. Again, 500-pound motorcycles, and there's the red flag. They know how hard he went down. A high side right there. He lost the front end, and then started saving it, and it pitched him off the high side. You can see how deep that motorcycle dug in the ground. Remember, these are 500-pound motorcycles around there, and when that bike goes down, it pitched him off the high side. It's like getting bucking off a bucking bull. You know, you just go for the ride.
Yeah, you can see the ruts that he left in the track right there.
They're calling out for medical.
Look at how this went down.
Watch the 55 on the left side of the screen. The back end comes around right here, so you need to stay on the throttle to ride it out, but at some point you just feel like you have to let off. He lets off the throttle, and now he's just along for the ride now. He's going to finally go off. It could have been a little bit worse, but he goes down really hard on that left shoulder. And you can see the visor coming off the helmet. Good camera work right there. Look at that 13 of Chris Boone up the inside. He got in the loose stuff. The back end just comes around.
Just caught it, and it slingshots him the other way as he's trying to hang on right here. And this will be a good angle right there. Just left shoulder, and then the front of the helmet, as you said, the visor comes off right there. So hopefully Joseph Robinson is okay after that one.
Tough break. He ran up front in his heat race. Looks like his X Games is going to end a little bit early. It's a good advantage for the rest of the riders because now there's going to be 5 guys battling for 3 spots.
Yeah, so one less bike and body to deal with out there on the track. So that'll open up the spacing just a little bit here as we await the restart here of semifinal race number 2.
This is a good advantage for the 35 of Kilkenny. He got shoved out on the first corner on the first start, so now he gets to restack it, line it up, focus, and do it one more time. So Kilkenny, who finished second here last year.
So let's bring Diana into the conversation here right now for a minute. Diana, what do you got?
Hey, you know what? I have been to a ton of these events over the last 9-10 years, and Tyler Behrman is never disappointing because he's always the first one to stop. When anyone goes down, he wants to check on his fellow rider, make sure he's okay. So he's just one of the sweetest, I want to say kids, but he's not a kid. He's, you know, he's my age, but just such a great guy.
Well, they're younger than us, so they're kids to us.
Yeah, well, we can still call them kids up here in the booth.
And he did stop and check on his down rider, which that's great. You know, it's all about sportsmanship. These guys are out here for some fun. You know, they're coming out here to have some fun at X Games. Amateur riders, you know, just the Harley-Davidson Hooligan racing, just to have some fun. There's the look of the rider that went down. He's waving his helmet up in the crowd. It looks like his right shoulder's down a little bit. Man, tough break for him. He won his heat race. His X Games ends early. Tough break for the 55, Joseph Robinson.
Yeah, getting a ride out of here, but again, he is holding the hand up and waving to the fans and whatnot as he goes out of here. So our well wishes go out to you, Joseph Robinson, as you exit the U.S. Bank Stadium, but again, good to see him get up under his own power.
And that was the rider that was starting on the back row, so he was going for it right off the bat on lap number 1. He had to get up there as soon as he can. You know, only 3 riders go to the main, and now we're down to 5 of them. Last qualifying race already for the Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing.
So 3 lucky gents will be moving on into that final race, and 2 of them will be watching from the sidelines for the final as we get set to re-rack and drop the green flag one more time here. This is our final semi-final race, our last semifinal race, I should say. That was a little confusing. Our last semifinal race here in the Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing.
All the number plates are the same this year. They got the numbers. Look at that. He reached down and shifted with his left hand, or his right hand, had the clutch in, and they're off. Oh,
Behrman's off the bike.
And the 22 gets gathered up in that as well. They're going to keep racing. Now Behrman sits back down. 22 stops to check on him. Man, Behrman gets tangled up, and look at this.
We may have another one.
They're still yellow. They're still yellow.
So the caution's out. They haven't thrown the red flag yet. We've got 2 riders down out there.
So possibly what you see is what you're going to get.
Exactly.
That's the 45 of Benny Carlson. Now they're still throwing the yellow. We're racing until we see a red or a checkered. The 45 out front. That's Benny Carlson. And Carlson's still out front. Looks at Kilkenny in second. Chris Boone right there in third. They're just going to cruise around now. Well, they know they're in the main.
Exactly. No matter what happens here, with only 5 riders after our last red flag and with 2 down as of right now, these guys know just play it safe, finish out the race, get on into that main. But we have not seen a red flag yet.
You know what, Jimmy? I think I would go for it, because if you finish up there, the further up you finish, the better starting spot you'll have in the main event. So I don't know if I just sit out there and cruise around, but they have seen a couple of get-offs in this semifinal.
Yeah, I'd say at that point the nerves start to come into play just a little bit. You've seen a couple of good stacks here in this race just trying to get into the final.
Yeah, tough break for Behrman. He was hoping that the red flag would come out. We're just past the halfway point. Out front's the 45, Benny Carlson. In the 2 spot is Kilkenny on the 35, and right behind him is the 13 of Chris Boone.
So lap 6 out of 10 here. They're going to let him race, so it looks like we're going to finish this out. And like you said earlier, what you see is what you're going to get here with this final 3 going on into the final race.
And the rider with the flare, he's the one out front.
We call it flare? We call it tassels?
I don't know.
I like flare. Let's go with flare.
All right, we like the flare. Benny Carlson out front, 45, sneaking away on the Harley-Davidson. Actually, Harley's 1, 2, and 3 in this one. Second is Kilkenny, who finished second last year at the Mall of America. And right behind him is Chris Boone, number 13.
So on lap 9 out of 10 here.
White flag coming out for the 45, Benny Carlson.
So there you go. These 3 are going to be moving on. See, Mark Atkins and Tyler Behrman are up and off the track. They were on the inside of the tough blocks there. Good to see they're both up and okay, though.
Checkered flag is out. Benny Carlson takes the win. Kilkenny second, and Chris Boone gets that 3rd and final transfer spot. They all just kind of settled in right there and hung on to the transfer spot. Tough break for Behrman, you know, going down in the first corner, got tangled up with the 22 bike. Mark Atkins, those 2 riders definitely had the speed. That was going to be a good race. Only the top 3 out of that race make it on into the finals. There's a look at some of the replay action. Looked like Behrman got into the back wheel of Kilkenny, and 22 has absolutely nowhere to go. Here's one more time. So look who's on the very inside, Behrman, and when he gets his front end on the inside of the 35, he's going to go for a high side right here. 22's already jamming on the brakes. He has nowhere to go. He's going to run actually into the back of the leader, and here's Carlson. He said, "Thank you very much. I'll take it from here. I'll see everybody else in the main event."
Look at that flare. I mean, that's a good look right there. Just flowing in the breeze.
That's what we've been talking about.
Stylish.
Man, he's making a statement. Now he won his semifinal. Now he's in the main for X Games.
Well, unfortunate there for Tyler Behrman going down and Mark Atkins just getting caught up in the collateral damage and all that. Let's check in right now one more time with Diana.
Man, he made it through the carnage, and he is the winner of Semi-2 headed into the main event. Benny Carlson, I mean, you got the serious flair going on here. Not only that, but you're a veteran here at X Games. You competed back in Supermoto. How does that experience help you here for flat track?
Well, I just think years and years in racing in general just kind of gets you a leg up on the guys. Me and my family, we've been at this a long time, whether it was road racing, flat track, Supermoto. So, yeah, we're just out here having fun. Spinning some laps, and we're actually doing fairly decent, so I can't complain.
That's right, no complaints here. Congratulations, Benny Carlson, taking the win here, Semi-2.
So we have narrowed it down to our final 6. We've got one more race left to go here at Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing. No medals in this event. It's all about fun and the glory out here at the U.S. Bank Stadium. But, man, what a difference this year with no last chance qualifier. The pressure was on for these guys to get it done early.
And it goes so fast, Jimmy. We started with 48 riders. We've already narrowed it down to the fastest 6 already in the main event. So, man, if you didn't finish up front, you're done.
Yeah, and those opening rounds were key because there were only 2 coming out of those quarterfinals, and then we took the top 3 out of the semis. So it's Mishler, Hill, Spencer, Carlson, Kilkenny, and Boone, your 6 riders we are going to see in the finals. Number 77, 88, 7M, 45, 35, and 13 will be racing it out here for bragging rights.
And you know what? Any one of those guys can win this one. They're all starting on the front row. anybody can win this one. You got to get a good start, get to the first corner as fast as you can. Don't count out the old guy, Roddy Spencer, man. He's been flying. Like you said, he won at Boise. He's cool, calm, and collected. He's raced big races before.
Yeah, he got sent to the back line there in that semifinal, and he ended up finding himself in the top 3 to move into this main race. So do not count him out at all. Your winner of that Boise Road to X Games qualifier in order to compete here, to earn the right to compete here in X Games Minneapolis. So let's take a little look back here as to what went down in the semifinal round.
97 got hung out to dry. Mishler got a little bit sideways right here, trying to go up the inside. That's in semifinal number 1. Mishler taking the inside away from 97, moving on towards the front.
That was Brad Spencer with the onboard cam right there, by the way. See as how we were just talking about him. It was fitting that we looked at that highlight right there.
Absolutely.
So a gorgeous day here downtown Minneapolis. Look at that. We had a little bit of weather earlier in the week, but today it is a bluebird day here in downtown MSP. So the Armory right there, the old home of the Los Angeles Lakers back in the day.
Ice Cube was there last night.
Did you go?
No, man, I had to get rest for this.
Same here. I walked by. I knew it was coming, but I had to be up bright and early here to get ready for this. So right now we're going to take a look at what it's like to be on board one of these Harley-Davidson bikes going through the track.
This is on top of the helmet, so you're getting a look at what it looks like from the rider's perspective. Look at that. Look up the inside. The leader, or the guy right in front of him, just made a mistake, slipped wide. This guy's trying to battle, trying to stay as low as he can. He's actually about a lane higher than the leader. Mishler's around the very bottom up against the tough blocks on the inside. And this is a good shot right here, trying to track down the leader. This got to be from Roddy Spencer as well.
And it just goes to show you how short of a track this is. As we said at the top of the show, it's 1/8 of a mile. So, I mean, it comes up fast. I mean, 10 laps goes just like that. I mean, we've run through 8 races like it was nothing.
Absolutely. They also have, I want to point out, they have steel shoes on their left boot. They actually slide it into the corners on that steel shoe. You barely have time to pick your foot up, get it on the foot peg before you have to put it right back down for the next corner.
Yeah, that's what's wild to me is like the straightaways don't last very long.
No, there's not much of a straightaway. You know, we'll see it a little bit different when we get to start and we get into the Harley-Davidson racing a little bit later on. But for the Hooligans, they're starting at the start-finish line, and they got to get going right off the bat. You got to get a good start, stay on the inside, and hold that line.
Well, to tell the tale of how we got here, we started it off when we came on air with 48 athletes. We had 6 opening round qualifying races. The top 2 moved on into the semis. We've gone through the 2 semifinals. Out of each one of those 2 semis, we've taken the top 3 riders. So we've now brought it down to a 6-rider final as the fans are starting to file in here to the U.S. Bank Stadium, because once we wrap this up, we get to do it all over again, because then we bring the pros into the mix when we have Harley-Davidson flat track racing.
And look, they're already coming onto the track right now. The crowd is just now getting in here. They opened up the gates out here at 10 o'clock this morning, and it's just starting to fill in. This is the first event to kick off day number 4 of X Games Minneapolis.
Well, we had the early bird crowd out here watching some racing, including your grandma. Grandma was out here getting ready to watch some flat track racing today.
85 years old. She's just right down the way watching this racing. She's been waiting for this one all day, or all week as well. Setting up our final. Here we go.
As well as the rest of us as they're bringing them out to the line. This is the Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing Final. We have narrowed the field down to these 6 riders as they bring them out to the line. This is a non-medaled event. These guys had to qualify out of the Road to X Games Boise qualifier. We had 98 of them out there, narrowed the field down to 48, and now out of those 48 that we opened up competition with, we're down to these final 6, and we're about to cut them loose. Welcome everyone inside the U.S. Bank Stadium for the 4th and final day of X Games Minneapolis. We are set to kick off our Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing Moto X Final out here this afternoon. Jimmy Coleman here in the booth alongside Scotty Dubler. We've got Diana Dahlgren down there on the field. And Scotty, when we started this party off, we had 48 riders that came into the mix. We've now narrowed the field down to these 6 finalists. This is a non-medaled event. This is just, these guys are blue-collar riders. They hold down full-time jobs. They're motorcycle enthusiasts, and these guys work hard to come out here and showcase their skills here in the U.S. Bank Stadium.
And they're out here to have some fun. This is not a medal event. They're coming out here just to have some fun. The Harley-Davidson Hooligan, that's what it's all about.
So taking a look at the start list right there, you've got Daniel Mishler, you've got Jimmy Hill, Brad Spencer, you've got Benny Carlson,
Dave
Kilkenny, and Chris Boone are your 6 finalists here.
Man, anybody can win it. Like we talked about just a little while ago, anybody can win this main event. Boone's stuck on the outside. Benny Carlson's got the inside on the inside. 45, he's got the inside. That's the best spot, I think.
So again, this is the Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing Final. 6 of them here. They had to go through 6 opening qualifying rounds. Top 2 out of each one of those qualifying rounds advanced. Then we had 2 semifinals. Top 3 out of the semis moved on to get us to the 6-man final. And we are underway here for the Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing Final.
Rider from the inside gets the hole shot. That is Carlson. Carlson's on the inside. Here comes Kilkenny looking at the outside. Now Mishler slides into second, number 77.
So tight grouping here. Oh, we've got carnage. We've got a rider down right there. That is Dave Kilkenny, who slides out on the outside. So we've added 5 extra laps. In the quarters and the semis, we had a 10-lap race. Now it's 15, but it's number 45 as of right now. Benny Carlson, who's out in the lead.
Kilkenny, who just fell off on lap number 1. He finished second here last year. He is done for the night. Here's an onboard shot from 4th place, looking at the top 3.
It's Carlson, Mishler, and Hill, your 1, 2, 3. That is the onboard cam with Brad Spencer running number 7M right there.
We lose another one in turn number 4. We got 4 riders left battling for this lead, and they're stacked up nose to tail through turns number 1 and 2. Down the back straightaway, it's still Carlson out front, Mishler in second, Hill third, and Spencer in 4th.
Well, Mishler's trying to push the issue right there. He tried to overtake Benny Carlson there on the inside line, and he does. He takes the lead right there. Taking a look right there at the Pacifico Spider Cam.
Man, the leader made a mistake, and the second place rider was right there to capitalize. Mishler, the door was open. Mishler said, thank you very much, and shot right on through. So it's Mishler out front, Hill in second, Carlson trying to hang on to that 3rd spot. Spencer's right there on the back tire.
All right, now you got Brad Spencer there, Brad Spencer there in 4th place, trying to press the issue, trying to move up into that number 3 position. He's trying to overtake number 45. That's Benny Carlson.
Mishler sneaking away. Hill in second. Halfway flags are in the air for your leader. Out front, Mishler doing it for Mishler's Harley-Davidson.
So we're on lap 8 out of 15 right there, and Mishler is starting to separate himself from the rest of the pack. Daniel Mishler out to a sizable lead, but here we go. Brad Spencer again trying to challenge for that number 3 position.
Doing it for the old guys out there in that 4 spot. He needs to pass 1 more to get on the podium here at X Games. The rider in his way, it's Benny Carlson on the 45 bike.
And Brad Spencer was your winner at the Road to X Games Boise qualifier out there in Idaho when we had the indoor race inside the arena out there.
Mishler sneaking away. Hills looks like he settled into second. Here's the battle for 3rd and 4th. Benny Carlson right there with the flare hanging off his jersey. Rodney Spencer right there in the 4th spot. Look, he's trying to high line, squaring off the corner, not able to make the pass, but he's right there just in case Carlson messes up like he did when he was leading just a few laps ago.
So we're down to our last couple of laps here. We're on lap 12 out of 15. It's still Mishler, Hill, Carlson, your 1, 2, 3 as of right now.
We saw the blue flag that was telling Chris Boone to get out of the way. There is your leader. Again, look how low air pressure he's running that back tire. That's enabled him to get off the corners really strong. He's getting all kinds of traction, a lot less wheel spin because that tire's hooking up and driving forward.
And he has really established himself a sizable lead here. So barring any incident here, it's looking like he will get out of here with top honors and bragging rights.
He was excited after that semifinal. I can't wait to see what he does after he wins this final. He's got about 15 bike lengths as they come to the white flag already.
You see Benny Carlson taking out some of the tough blocks right there, coming on that inside lane right there. We are on the final lap. White flag is out. Here we go. It is Daniel Mishler coming around and waiting. You see him looking back over his left shoulder right there, seeing how close anybody was behind him.
Whoa, battle for second. Hill barely edges out Carlson on the 45, and then he goes up into the air fence after he takes the checkered flag. Wow. He left it on a little bit longer than he planned and gets his bike all the way into the air fence, but how about it? Look at this. He is so excited. He just won at X Games.
So it's Daniel Mishler getting the win here in Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing. What an afternoon he has had.
And guess what he gets to do? A victory lap.
Oh, the victory lap. It's a rite of passage out here at US Bank Stadium. Taking a look at the restart here.
I called that the 45 had the best starting spot, led into the first corner. Here comes the 77. He was back there in third. He goes up the inside, gets by Kilkenny right here as Kilkenny goes around. That was second place last year, not his year this year.
Yeah, you can see right there, he was challenging for one of those 3 spots, and then he just swabbed out the back end, and he came out, and it ended up sliding out. That would take him out of the race.
And that was the pass for the lead. Carlson slipped a little bit wide coming up at turn number 2, and that's all it took for Michler to sneak on by and take home the win at X Games.
Look at it. He can't believe it right there. He couldn't get that helmet off fast enough right there. So Daniel Michler, your winner out here for Harley-Davidson Hooligan Racing.
And then right after the checkered flag, the 88 slid so fast into turn number 1, he got all the way into the air fence, but he's okay. No big deal, no harm, no foul.
So that Jimmy Hill will get second place, and it's Benny Carlson who will also stand on the podium out here. Again, a non-medal event. This one's for bragging rights, but still a great time. And again, we started off with 98 of these guys back in Boise at the Road to X Games qualifier, and coming in today, there was 48 of them, and they had to go through the quarterfinals and into the semis to get into this final. So a great job to all 6 of our finalists just making it this far.
Absolutely. It was a tough road to get here, a long trip to get down here to Minneapolis.
All right, now let's send it down to Diana one more time.
Congratulations, capitalizing off of someone's mistake and then taking the lead, running away with it. You worked so hard, you told me right before the main event. Congratulations on this win.
Thank you so much. Literally a dream come true. Anybody out there wants to try and run them, you know, you can do it. And it's a total proven point that we can do it, and we did it. I'd love to thank the X Games personnel for putting this event on. Michler's Harley-Davidson, BMW out of Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. I literally can't thank them guys enough. They literally are the best crew that I have and I've ever had. So I definitely give a shout out to them, and Innovative Technologies, Bell Helmets, all the hooligan competitors. They're all very, very good riders, and hats off to them. And thank you.
Congratulations, Michler taking the bragging rights here, Harley Hooligan. Guys?
Bit out of breath on that one there, so I don't know if he had enough. I don't know if he could thank any more people. He didn't have any more gas left in the tank there.
The adrenaline was flowing. He had a good time.
All right, so Daniel Michler gets the win out here in Hooligan Racing. That is a wrap here from Hooligan Racing. But don't forget, coming up, we've got Harley-Davidson Flat Track Final when we come back.
Second. He's buying dinner. He said if I win gold, he's buying dinner.